Hello, welcome back. This is Zweistan and this will be another Star Trek Armada Fleet Ops video tutorial. Today we are talking about Federation E2 Rush. Federation E2 Rush is a tech rush similar to Akira, but with the difference that it's not as effective as an Akira rush, even though we get ships out a little earlier than with the Akira. Now today I'll be playing against Samuel, my cousin again, so we're looking again at a major skill disparity between me and him, so give him the benefit of the doubt. And now to the Excelsior rush. As I've said, this is a tech rush. What we do with the Excelsior rush, with the E2 or Excelsior rush, is we skip warp-ins, we skip Starfleet Science, and we go straight for Eurodiard at our expansion, and we attempt to produce Excelsiors from there. Now, what maps this is good on is basically big maps, and this is a team strategy, though I will do it in a 1v1 mainly because getting more than 2 people together is a bit hard for me for the tutorial videos, and they wouldn't be as controlled as this one is going to be. But yes, this is a team strategy. If you're doing this in a 2v2, do it on a larger map like I forgot, it's not Plasma Conduit, it's something else. Plasma Storm, I think, is the name of the map. That one is pretty big and would be a good map. And yes, the avatar we will do this with Mayson. That's because Mayson gets defensive as well as a offensive bonus to his Excelsiors, and he gets a special passive which is called ACS torpedoes, or anti-capital ship torpedoes. When the passive of Excelsior 2 is guided quantum torpedoes, during which the Excelsior cannot move, but his quantum torpedoes have a 100% chance of hitting anything, including sabers. And during this passive, if you're playing Mayson, and I apologize, I need to clear my throat. Back. If you're playing Mayson, well, you get this ACS bonus, which gives, I think, 20 or 30, or is it even 30% increased damage? We'll see once we hover over this when the game is unpaused. It gives basically your Excelsiors do enhanced damage against battleships while their guided quantum torpedoes are active. Now, the general overview of what we're going to do. We're going to do the following. We're going to grab the storage dock next to the Dillithium and then Starfleet Engineering, after which we're going to grab a shipyard, but our second constructor is immediately going to expand to our natural expansion up here. That is because we require a lot of Dillithium for this to work. The Excelsiors cost nearly 700 Dillithium, it's 650 thereabouts. So we need a lot of Dillithium for this strategy to work. And we're initially skipping Tritanium because we want the shipyard just to get some defensive ships out early. We want Monsoons mainly to tank for our fleet and be bullet sponges for our Excelsior. So once we have our shipyard complete, we're going to build a Tritanium refinery here, and by that time we will have our constructor ready to build a dilithium refinery at our expansion. When the dilithium refinery is complete, we will build the Urode shipyard, which is the advanced shipyard, and we will start producing Excelsiors. Now, depending on where you start and how your moons are positioned, you're either going to have just enough dilithium to start producing your Excelsior, or you're going to have to wait a little bit. I've noticed that even on this map, which is dual 2, if I start in the upper left position, I will most likely be able to produce the Excelsior as soon as the shipyard is complete, while if I start in the lower position, my construction ship, when it's down here, it exits the starbase southwards and it has to travel past the starbase north to the Dillithium moon, which on the bottom side is above the starbase, and that means that I am further behind with the dilithium, and it means that I need 1 to 2 more full tanks of dilithium before I can start producing. So this is an interesting thing. This is the interesting thing with this rush. Like, even even where you start on the map can be a deciding factor of how quick it will be. Now, final thing to explain is our miners. Because we're skipping Tritanium, if we forget about our Tritanium altogether, we're not going to have enough Tritanium. If we go instead and build a Tritanium moon, then our shipyard and our expansions are going to be late and we're not going to have enough dilithium. So what we do is, instead, the first miner we send to dilithium, and the second and third miner we send to long distance mine the Tritanium up here, which gives us just enough Tritanium to start producing ships and not to stall out on it. The fourth miner is going to be so late that by that time we're probably already going to have our expansion up here, or it'll be near complete. So we're going to use the same trick as double yarding Akiras, and we're going to use this miner to mine at our expansion, so that we have 2 miners in the main base and 2 at the expansion to mine more efficiently on less miners. So we'll be able to produce the Excelsior with that. After the first Excelsior is built and the third Monsoon is building, we will build another miner, and then after the second Excelsior is built, we build the final miner to fully saturate the moons. From there on out, what you do is up to you. Generally, you want to grab the second Tritanium to make your Tritanium less vulnerable and to set up for Starfleet Science and Warpins, because with 2 moons fully saturated, 2 dilithium moons that is, this build tends to start accumulating a surplus of dilithium, which is excellent because it gives us the ability to build other stations. Now, doing this with Reasoner, just so you can later switch to Avalons, I guess it's viable, but I think it would be better if you wanted Avalons to either go straight for an Avalon rush in a team game, that is. You generally don't want Avalons in a 1v1. In a team game, either straight rush Avalons with the strategy I'm going to be showing you in the future, or switch into them from the early warping opener. Going this strategy just to grab Avalons, I guess it's feasible, but both your Monsoons and your Excelsiors are going to be much weaker than with Mayson, and there's a chance that you'll stall out on supplies as well, just because both the E2s, the Excelsiors, and the Avalons are slightly more expensive on supplies than your small yard shipyards. Anyway, with that, let's see if the the cousin is ready. If he's ready to begin. While we're waiting for him, happy Easter everyone. I know this is slightly after Easter, but still happy Easter. Okay. So we queue up for freighters. We grab our dilithium. We begin grabbing our engineering. Now, because we're doing a 1v1, depending on what my cousin does, like if he does something like a hardcore warping rush and utilizes that correctly, we could lose this just because the Excelsiors are fairly slow, and here lies their downside in a 1v1. First of all, they're a bit slow to get out, and he is doing a hardcore warping rush. They're a bit slow to get out. Second of all, they're slow to move about. Thirdly, is they cannot fire backwards with their quantum torpedoes. They're a forward only ship, which makes retreating with them extremely painful, and it means that if you can get punished in an offensive action, it is fairly easy to lose one, and if you've lost one, you are pretty behind. Now in a team game that doesn't matter as much, because you have, usually if it's a 3v3 or a 4v4, you will definitely have teammates to help bail you out, but in a 2v2, if you lose that Excelsior and get punished for it, you might have lost the game for you and your partner. There you go, Starship chassis is going up. You can see that he's a novice by the fact that he's not moving his ships immediately. As you can see, we're grabbing chassis level 1 now with the shipyard, which means that as soon as the shipyard is complete, we can start producing Monsoons and start building up a defensive fleet. This is good because it means, unlike an Akira rush, you're going to have some defenses if your opponent is, for example, Romulan goes for Rian rush. On the other hand, we are tanking Tritanium now. Our Tritanium production is much slower because we've skipped that mine, which we are rectifying right now, but as you can see, the distances for the miners are extreme. Now let's see if we can scare this scout off. The worrying thing about the warping rush is if he attacks us here while our ships are somewhere here or traveling along the map, around the map even, there's no chance whatsoever for us to be able to defend and protect our dilithium. And because we're cutting it pretty close with our dilithium, as is always with these tech rushes, we're skimping on safety for greater tech. It means that we are going to have production slowdowns, and too many production slowdowns can end up being the thing that loses us the game. If your opponent can produce more at the same, if your opponent can produce more in the same time period than you, then they are pretty much winning the game at that point. And I'm sorry, I'm having weird lag again. Scare away the scout. you'll see that we are just barely going to have enough to start production. We don't even have enough, but in a team game it's not as crucial. As soon as these two finish offloading, we should probably have enough, or we're going to be about 40 Dillithium short, but this is why we're mining with 2 miners. So we can see our opponent is getting ready. He's building his second storage dock, which means he's interesting. He skipped Starfleet Command for the second storage dock, which means his warping rush just turned into early warpings without an expansion. It was a bit of a mistake. Yes, the warpings are going to be a little bit earlier than with an early warpings start, but still he's slowing his warpings down because of that, which is a mistake. Okay, as you can see, our first Excelsior is building, our third Monsoon is building, so this is the time for that miner. It's time for us to start saturating this Dillithium moons to their capacity, after which we will go and begin preparing for transition into warpings ourselves, or at least get Starfleet Science going. Now, because I am expecting warpings, I'm moving my ships into such a position to defend, to have a bit better chance to not lose my construction ships. You can see we barely have enough to continue production, but now that the fourth Monsoon and the second Excelsior are building, we can queue up another miner. Now, what I love to do in this case is, if I just send my ships to a point and forget about them, as you can see, your Excelsiors are going to be left behind, even if they don't stop. They're going to be left behind. So what I like to do to defend my Excelsiors is move my Monsoons close and then press G for the guard command and have them guard the Excelsior. Now I can only control the Excelsior, and you'll see that the Monsoons are going to follow it wherever it goes at its speed. Yeah, he screwed up because he built this and couldn't build the Starfleet Command in time. His third Monsoon built and finished production. Oh, he's raiding us, which is slightly annoying, but at this point, like, we already have our Excelsior out. We're sending our Monsoon up there. Now, one Excelsior versus 2 Monsoons is a bad matchup for the Excelsiors, but we are getting our Monsoon ready. Oh, he's heading to defend. No, his both ships are still here. He's still waiting for that, and you can see, like, because that's the problem. You need to pause your production now. If you've built this, you need to pause your production, or you're never going to have enough Dillithium to build the Starfleet Command, just because your ships are constantly going to be coming out. Your shipyard's going to be building constantly, and like, as if he can hear me, he stops his production just so he can queue up, but he's already lost a ship now. Now this is okay for me. Like, I'm now going to go and give this Excelsior a fighting chance to retreat while I build up more ships. And while I regroup, as you can see, I'm okay sending this Excelsior down just because I know he's on the defensive now. Now let's not linger here, because his Monsoons do outnumber me. Let's move up here. I know the map, and I know for a fact that there's a crystalline nebula here, so I can regenerate my ships in there. The Excelsior is here. The third Excelsior is out. Let's queue up more Monsoons. As you can see, Excelior wasn't shooting until it turned, so that is the problem with this. Let's have you go in here and repair. Let's build more freighters. We can afford to at the time now. Hello, Scout. He has not expanded yet. He has started building his Starfleet Command now. We further slowed him down with our attack, and fortunately, or unfortunately rather, for him, his strategy kind of fell apart there, which gave us the winning chance. Like this basically gave the game away to us. I'll happily go and kill his miner under starbase. Especially with the Excelsiors, they can tank the starbase a little bit better. As you can see, like we already have a small surplus of Dillithium. And oh, okay, that's scary. Actually, let's see if he lets us build this. This Excelsior might be lost, but there's a pretty good chance he won't be watching here. We're gonna set this to low movement autonomy and use their long range to try and bombard. The ship. Oh, he's raiding us, but he's ignoring this. Don't ignore turrets. He probably doesn't realize this yet, but don't ignore turrets. As you can see, we've now stopped his Starfleet Command entirely and basically secured the game for ourselves. He has 4 Monsoons, we have 4 Excelsiors and what, 7 Monsoons? 8 now? Can't count. 7 altogether. Please do not watch the enemy. Your angry gaze will not destroy their ships. Now we have lost this miner. We've probably lost the other one as well, actually, come to think about it. But with it, we've basically secured our expansion now. We've completely shut down the enemy's mining. Okay. He realizes he has a lot of Tritanium, so he's building some science ships. Probably time for us to kill this quickly and then provide a fighting retreat for our Excelsiors again. I'm going to tell my scout to guard the Excelsiors and provide the extra sight we need, and we're going to tell these guys to move down towards the middle. Now, as you can see, we have a large surplus of Dillithium and Tritanium, so we can build Starfleet Science. We've we have delayed our this Excelsior, but like in our current position, we can afford to delay our Excelsiors for a little bit of tech. It's because we're outproducing our opponent so much that we've basically won the game already. Kinda sad that he botched that up. He was in a great position to challenge us. But now he doesn't even have enough ships to repel our attack, even with the shipyard. Okay. That Monsoon is unfortunately dead, but so is his Monsoon. We can now focus on bombarding his shipyard with impunity. That's one of the advantages of Excelsiors. They have a long range, so you can bombard the enemy. And as you can see, he can't threaten us while we're slowly destroying his expansion. Could grab anti-capital ships, anti-capital ship torpedoes, and hello. I think we lost that Excelsior because I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, we definitely lost this one. But he has lost his shipyard, so a loss of a single Excelsior is not going to pain us. And once we get the guided quantum torpedoes ready, which will be pretty soon, we can then proceed and just annihilate his Monsoons altogether. And with the warping, if we order descent, that's it. Oh, he's decommissioning his entire base. It's a pretty good chance that he's coming in for the final assault. Now, we might have enough ships, but I'm not entirely certain. You will notice, oh, hello, yes, he's gone for the final counterattack. Right, let's set everything to high movement autonomy and move the ships in. I'm even going to send the scout in. Scout has medium range, so he should stay behind the Monsoons. Once again, he's ignoring this, which is bad. He's even ignoring the miners now. But it's okay, actually. He's trying. So let's send this Monsoon to repair. He might even lose it, but I don't care at this point. Okay, let's engage that ACS torpedo and have him move out of range. And this is another disadvantage of the Excelsiors. If you engage your guided quantum torpedoes and your opponent either moves out of range or just moves around you, they're useless. Your Excelsiors are useless. We're losing these Monsoons left, right and center, but I'm not paying attention to that anymore. And they're meant to be bullet sponges for Excelsior anyway. Look, our warping's Never started building. Can rectify this situation soon-ish.
Approving course of action. Acknowledge, Starfleet. Moving out. New course heading.
How much does this cost? 200, so we do not have enough to fire to activate this now.
Standing by.
But the game's over anyway. So let's give him the GG.
All sections on standby. We read you. All sections on standby. Alter course.
Enemy engaged.
Standing by. All sections on standby. Armed and ready. Acknowledge, Starfleet. Standing by.
Let's resaturate our Tritanium expansion, but yeah, I basically have nothing to add at this point.
Standing by.
I have 1v1 with an opponent of about equal oh, hello! With an about equal skill level, you will not be able to pull this off just because they are going to be ready for you. If he had done his warpins correctly, the warpins would have attacked us either at the expansion or down here or up here. Basically, they would have hit us and slowed us down, required us to defend. And if you can pull off warpins correctly, they'll pretty much win out against attack rush almost every time.
Locate the nearest construction facility.
Anyway, this was the Federation Excelsior Rush. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Zweistein out.